Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Still the same road, James Madison Highway. I still state road or county road or business road. Is that what BUS stands for above those signs? Something 15. So headed towards Culpeper. Okay, give me standbys, please. Sounds good, thank you. let you know. Okay, sounds good. Okay, where's that at? Anywhere near me? Okay. I'll listen to VJ's thing. Hey, so I'll be there in 15 minutes. Beautiful. Let me know, give me standbys. I got cool visuals. Right? I'm over here tornado hunting. It's kind of fun, actually. I would do this for a job. Who's my producer right now? Sounds good. Give me standby space. I am on State Road 3 or maybe. Yeah. 3. Standby. Hey, are you still at the station? Beautiful. I've been in touch with the producers. I can't get a weather person to give me like a definitive area to go here, or like they're saying cities. I'm trying to get some help with like a pin of some sort. Like I know it's like we're in the middle of trying to like read the radar, and then we're in between Stafford and Spotsylvania, and I'm just like we're out here in the boonies, people. I don't know. Yeah, I'm heading back towards. I'm kind of on the way to Fredericksburg. Yes. I'm hoping to see one. I really don't know where Stafford is, but I can't see Stafford on my map. Okay. Okay, lovely. That's where I'm trying to be. I'm in like Stevensburg. I'm in like Stevensburg, going towards Lignum. These are like, or Lingham. These are like very, very small. Yeah. But I'm on Route 3 towards Fredericksburg, just east of Culpeper. I know.
Around different camera views. This is our Tyson's weather camera. It's been looking really dark. Well, that storm is beginning to move towards the Tyson skyline. We're about to see it all disappear here in a little bit with some of that heavy rainfall moving towards areas like Tyson's. Another weather camera, National Harbor, putting on a good show as well. This is going to make a really good time lapse with this particular camera. You're dry in southern Maryland and National Harbor right now, but notice these dark clouds similar to that Tyson's weather camera. We'll likely see this disappear shortly as well. This is our Watergate weather camera. So storms approaching the northern metro right now, northern portions of the Capitol Beltway. Notice the dark clouds here as well. So if you're not experiencing the heavy rain and severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings at this hour, just make sure you're staying weather aware because these storms are still very active and back building across the area. Next weather camera, let's go to Tyson's again. Again, this is showing that heavy rain approaching the area. And then Reston Station, this is going to be what Tyson's looks like shortly. You can typically see some of the buildings, but that's not the case anymore as these torrential downpours begin to move across the area. So here's your radar. And again, I've got my eyes now on the tail end of this this line here because we've been in a bit of a hole. The storms have been developing down towards the south and towards the north, and we've been kind of untapped when it comes to our instability. So this storm going to continue to watch more portions northern Fairfax County, eastern portions of Loudoun County. This is where rain is going to be falling very heavily over the next half hour to an hour or so, and moving slowly. As VJ and I have been talking about, the storms have been moving rather progressively, but this particular area right here, which is going to eventually slide into northern portions of the district, this is where we can see some torrential downpours as these storms continue to move over the same areas over and over again. We call it training, like train tracks. You see these storms pretty much just developing and redeveloping again over the same areas. Let's focus again now down towards the still active tornado warning. This is for Culpeper, Orange, Spotsylvania, and Stafford counties until about another 7.5 minutes or so. We're going to continue to monitor this. This has a history of having multiple tornado warnings. They have not been confirmed just yet, but sometimes that doesn't need to happen. We can have enough spin in the atmosphere that we're seeing those winds reach the ground, and we can call them downbursts, microbursts, whatever you want to call it. Severe thunderstorm warnings with considerable tags like we've seen, and tornado warnings can produce the same kind of damage. Now we can continue to monitor this. Thankfully, VJ, I'm sensing a little bit that this is weakening a little bit. Still a strong storm, but the circulation I'm not seeing as much anymore.
Yeah, I was talking with Scott yesterday how this is all part of the same weather maker that produced some of the severe weather up around Kentucky and north up into Wisconsin. Luckily, we're not seeing the tornadoes like that, but again, still could have some damage with trees down throughout the area. So as Mark mentioned, the tornado warning for about another few minutes here until 6:15, and still some of these wind markers are popping up now south of Dunavant. You may be hearing and seeing the wind come up, the trees swaying, so make sure you're inside, away from the windows and doors. Just stay put until well after 6:15 and this heavy weather moves through. Right there, you can see Spotsylvania, Stafford again in it until 6:15 here. Scott, look at all the lightning off to our west. A tremendous amount of lightning, just one of the indicators that, again, this supercell is producing a lot of rain and may, in fact, still be intensifying.
Yeah, VJ, you warned us about this yesterday, told us there could be dangerous conditions. I think you said from 2 to 10 p.m., give or take, right?
That's right.
Is anything that you have seen so far with this storm surprising you? And can you talk a little bit more about the speed with which it's moving through, if that helps or hurts the situation?
Yeah, it helps the situation in terms of flooding, Scott, because these cells have been fairly progressive, not sitting, because there are some high rainfall rates with these storms, 1-2 inches per hour. So at least they're progressive, and we're not seeing all the flooding around the area. But the wind, yes, knew that we would have a lot of wind, damaging winds mentioned yesterday. That was at the top of the list. As well as the chance to get some spin with the storms themselves as they came through. But what surprises me is I really thought that we would see most of the spin and many of our tornado warnings south of D.C., down around I-66 in southern Maryland and western Maryland, because that's where the heat ridge has been and some of the strongest upper level winds. Of course, that does confirm for this area, Spotsylvania County just to the north. We continue with that tornado warning again until 6:15. Mark, while I continue through this, see if you can get a visual with our Spotsylvania County camera, our live camera. And of course, we've got Storm Track that's been out on the roads as well. So what other bright red spots do we have? That's where those tornado warnings are. You've got this one, again, down around eastern Culpeper County, as well as Spotsylvania, northeastern Maryland, and then well off to the east. And fewer severe thunderstorm warnings we're also seeing right now, but we'll continue to monitor some of the storm reports as well with the trees down northern Loudoun County. We'll take another look here at the tornado warning that does continue again for this area of eastern Culpeper, Orange, Spotsylvania, and Stafford. This will be for about another 4 minutes, where there may be some spin here, and it may even some of the rotation location crossed just north of Chancellor, but still in that tornado warning, Scott, until 6:15.
Yeah, VJ, a couple things to observe here as we take a look at live conditions out there on the roadways. Roads really wet from all that rain that came through, and I know you said that in some places they were getting a considerable amount in a very short period of time, but also we are now getting more reports into the newsroom about trees down. Can you just remind our viewers at home, because I heard this discussion in the newsroom earlier tonight, some people who still get confused with the difference between a watch and a warning?
Absolutely, yeah. So much of the area, of course, DC Metro under the tornado watch. That means we're watching for tornadoes. But when that warning is issued, like we have in these locations, you need to take immediate action. Make sure you get to your safe space, a self-shelter. If you've got a basement, you want to get down to the basement, your lowest level of your home, in an interior room like a bathroom or a closet or even a hallway, something that structurally is more sound. But again, this is until 6:15. We've got another 3 minutes here for Culpeper, Orange, Spotsylvania, and Stafford County. And right now, within this area, the highest winds that are being reported or that we're seeing within the storm itself is southwest of Donovan. That's going to be moving right along areas of 3 and probably just north of Chancellor, but still some very heavy rain occurring within this cell, that tornado warning. Again, just down to the south, Brook Road also part of it, Chancellor too. Look at the heavy rain and the lightning with it. And then even off to the west, already Culpeper has seen some very heavy rain today, but just east of Luray, there is more high winds taking place and also more reduced visibility out on area roads. Take a look now at the Tyson's camera that Mark Pena has brought up. Boy, that is a blinding rain right there, Mark.
Yeah, we talked about it just a few minutes ago that the Tyson skyline was about to disappear, and there it is. We got some heavy rain falling into northern portions of Fairfax County. The good news is, take a look at Reston Station. We couldn't see this weather camera about 5 minutes ago, so we're seeing some improvements there. Still some very dark clouds over the horizon here. The road's very wet as well. I want to focus really fast. I have to get my computer right here. Our tower camera in northwest DC is, oh, there we go. We just lost it. This was pointed at the National Cathedral. Now it's just a big wall of rain. So some very, very heavy rainfall, torrential downpours. The conditions are still there. If it hasn't rained where you are right now, just know that you have not seen the front arrive just yet. There's our storm track. I believe they're down towards the Warrenton, Culpeper area where we have had that history of a tornado warning. So again, just make sure that you're staying weather aware through the rest of this evening. This threat continues until about 8, 9 o'clock. That's when that front will slowly sag through the area and rid us of our severe threats. But until then, these storms are tapping into a very, very volatile, unstable atmosphere, and it doesn't take long for these storms to fire off and turn severe within a matter of 5 to even 10 minutes. I'm going to continue to go through some of our cameras here. There's the Tyson skyline continuing to disappear there. The Watergate weather camera about to see the Key Bridge disappear with the wall of rain approaching portions of Rosslyn. The National Harbor weather camera. This is going to be a really good time lapse that we'll see once all is said and done. And then there's Tyson's again. Let me get to my radar, which I believe is in this particular set, and it's not. Let me get right to it. I got my my computer right there. So good news, that tornado warning has expired. So this is going to be some good news. Still a very strong storm from Stafford down towards Chancellor, as VJ was mentioning. Fredericksburg City, you got to make sure that you are taking this as severe as a tornado warning. Even though it expired, it has a history of it. There's a lot of lightning. There's a lot of heavy, heavy rainfall. And there's also the threat for some damaging winds at this hour. Let's see what we got here. We got our storm track continuing to drive there. VJ, the good news there, that tornado warning has expired.
It has, yes. And off to the west there around Culpeper, we'll keep an eye on this storm because it could be producing quite a bit of hail south of Luray. That'll head down toward areas of Madison eventually with winds around 60 miles per hour. And then you go up to the north and look at 70 right now, 270 parts of the Beltway. Very heavy rain east west of Reston and also around College Park. These are some high rainfall rates for folks just south of BWI Airport. That is a tornado warning that's up until 6:45. So probably some ground stops at some of the airports around the area right now. But very, very heavy rain, high rainfall rates on areas of 495 as well as 270 College Park, Laurel, Maryland, and Bowie. So within this area where there was that severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible that went until 7 p.m. There we are seeing now the tornado warning issued just south of BWI Airport, down around areas of I-97. That is just north and west of Annapolis, Maryland. So eventually that's going to be moving to the north and east away from our area. And then down to the south and west, radar indicated some high winds west of Culpeper. This is where I was looking at the chance for a little more spin potentially taking place. We'll keep an eye on this particular cell as well, just west of Culpeper as it moves east. Right now, the severe thunderstorm warning will go until 6:45 just west of Stafford and until 6:30 just west of Culpeper, Virginia. Of course, any more tornado warnings we'll get on right away, Scott.
Yeah, and even though that one just expired, as you and Mark have pointed out all night long, these are still dangerous conditions people need to pay attention to, both online, on air, and on the app. And quick note here, as far as some damage that we are getting reports of, a tree on top of a house in the 10 block there of Turtle Dove Court, that's in Gaithersburg. We've got a crew on the way there. Another one on a house on Brighton Dam Road in Brookville. We also have a 7 News crew responding to that. We're going to take a very short break here. We'll be right back with more weather and plenty of today's news.
Yeah, I think with Trey, he's doing really well. I think
Eli.
is your warning, this area that's shaded in red. And Mark, go ahead and take off the radar and let's just zoom in for a moment so that we can go almost street level and talk about some of the roads here that could be impacted. So you're looking at Jackson Grove, Odenton area, if you know where Maryland 170 is, and of course 175. Eventually coming through areas of Millersville, some intense winds, and Benfield along I-97. And then off to the east, if this storm does hold together, it's on toward Pasadena, as well as Glen Burnie and areas like Harold Harbor. Now, we'll go just a little wider here because that could also be impacting some very high winds, Maryland 100 around Southgate as well, and up to the north. So this is just south of BWI Airport. The latest tornado warning that's been issued, and we've had a few, this will be until 6:45 for northern Anne Arundel County. So wider view here so that we can see just how far to the north it is. So here's College Park with very heavy rain still occurring, and that is all sliding off to the east. Also Bowie getting more heavy rain, and Annapolis as well. Now this is radar indicated like the other tornado warnings that we've had. That said, we've got reports throughout the area of some very intense winds that have downed some trees throughout the area this afternoon. So right now, your highest winds north and east of Maryland, that's east of Route 1 there. The tornado warning, it extends from just south of Glen Burnie all the way east. And look at where most of the lightning is right now. Also down toward areas of Annapolis, Maryland, and Arnold, and Annapolis and Maryland 387 until 6:45 northern Anne Arundel County. So we're looking at areas like Annapolis and Arnold and Cape St. Clair, as well as Riva area and Parole, all where even if you don't have a tornado that's touching down, there could be some very high winds coming up, 60, 70 miles per hour, even with some of the severe thunderstorm warnings. If we could switch over to that, Mark, because I want to show those also that we are looking at winds potentially with still quite a few cells that may be as high as 70 miles per hour. That includes College Park, Maryland. If you've got a student there, give them a call. Make sure they stay put until these storms pass. This one too until 6:45. Includes the area of Falls Church, Arlington, D.C., Fairfax, Montgomery County, and Prince George's County. And again, this is severe thunderstorm warning here until 6:45 with those winds that could be around 60 miles per hour. Look at our Watergate camera here. Actually, it's that's how low the visibility is on area roads, and why a lot of folks have probably decided to stay put and not go out. Can't even see the Kennedy Center there. Mark, let's go wide on the radar and let's loop this, because these storms have been pretty progressive, and they started early this afternoon, 3-4 o'clock up around Hagerstown and Martinsburg and Winchester, and they've just been making their way quickly south and east through our area, now into southern Maryland. And look at D.C. with the heavy rain extending up to the north. So in terms of the most intense clusters, it's College Park off to the east, northern Anne Arundel County. You've got another one with heavy rain here coming into northern Fauquier County, also down south around Madison County and Culpeper County, and then Spotsylvania and Stafford, another area with some heavy rain, but all advancing through our area. On the back side of it, maybe some showers that'll linger past 9 p.m. So let's go right back to the warning that is up for northern Anne Arundel County and south of BWI Airport. Again, likely to have a ground stop right now. So if you have someone that was due in on that flight, it's probably going to be late. 6:45 Anne Arundel County. This would include areas of Arnold. You could see it there, the heavy rain. Annapolis, areas through 301, as well as points off to the east. Crownsville, of course, Chesterfield area, Oak Court, and Maryland 270. All within this area. We'll go a little wider here and let's put on all of the watches and warnings, because we continue, Scott, with the tornado watch that is up for D.C. metro area. That's until 10 p.m. Severe thunderstorm watch off to the west also until 10 p.m. But within it, we've gotten all of these areas being warned on primarily for high winds or radar indicated tornadoes throughout the area. Again, you can see the bright red there for areas around Annapolis with that tornado warning until 5:45. So we'll be off the air, but we'll continue to track it. And of course, we'll be online as well with more information. WJLA.com getting the very latest on all these storms and images of the damage coming up this evening at 10 and 11 p.m.
All right, great information there. Important for everyone to pay attention. World News Tonight with David Muir coming up next. We'll see you right back here at 11.
is just about ready to expire in about another few minutes, but a new one's been issued south of Fredericksburg, and you can see it here. This is an area that we were watching over the last few minutes with the potential for some spin. So this tornado warning is being warned on based on some of the signatures that we're seeing on our radar. And even if it's not spinning and coming down to the ground, there could be some high winds, 60, 70 miles per hour occurring within this. So this is, again, Fredericksburg, the heavy rain, and just on the east side of Spotsylvania, look at this storm system. This will go until 7:15 within this area, the potential, again, for some spin. Now, it's not a large area, but it's an area that could be impacted in a high way. These locations is what I've tracked for you. You can see that by 6:35, Cottage Green, your winds could be coming up, the potential for some spin and tornadoes touching down. And then on toward Olive, this will be around 6:41, the Olive area just in Spotsylvania County, impacted around 6:41 with the potential of a tornado taking place within this area. Corbin 2, 6:46, and then eventually Locks Corner by 6:49. Again, the cell is moving south and southeast at about 35 miles per hour. Progressive, we're not seeing any high rainfall, or we're not seeing any flooding with it, but certainly some high rainfall and a high count on the lightning. So anyone within this area, you'll want to get inside. That'll cross right over areas of Fredericksburg in the next couple of minutes. And then also off to the west, more heavy rain just on the west side of Culpeper and south of Luray. All this will continue moving through our area over the next few hours. And another severe thunderstorm warning. This one continues for D.C. This will be until 6:45 with the heavy rain and the potential for some high winds. And then around Glen Burnie, that's radar indicated until 7:30, some high winds. So again, just down to our south, we continue around Spotsylvania there with that tornado warning. Let's go to meteorologist Mark Pena, and that's a look too at our Storm Tracker 7 that has been out on the road this afternoon, tracking this very heavy weather. Mark, 7 p.m. now, new tornado warning.
Yeah, new tornado warning. And that same cell, this is our hail tracker. You got your bearings here just to the west of Fredericksburg along the I-95 corridor. That same storm that's producing our multiple tornado warnings at this point. Likely some nickel-sized hail just to the south of Chancellor. So this cell has been producing tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, and now we're even getting some indications that some decent-sized hail is also falling from this storm. I've got my computer just off camera, so I'm going to be right over here moving things around, but I want to get you set with where we're looking. So this one cell, so it looks like, let me see if I'm seeing this correctly, that the tornado warning, okay, it's still ongoing here. And so we have a strong cell moving towards the Fredericksburg area, but the tornado warning, if there is one on the ground, is going to be just to the south of Fredericksburg, north and east of Spotsylvania. And this is one little cell right here where this magenta is. Let me get even more zoomed in here. This is going to be where some of that hail is likely falling. So this is going to be around Piedmont Drive, if you're in that area, Harrison Road, Breckenridge Drive, Foster Road. You want to make sure that you are taking this cell and this warning seriously, because it's a tornado warning with a severe thunderstorm warning. So it's producing both. We're seeing some circulation to issue the tornado warning, but also it's got a history of producing some very damaging winds, 60, 70 mile per hour, certainly not out of the question. And then of course there's the hail, which again, let me pull this up right here, is likely falling just to, there we go, just to the west of where I was zoomed in. So Chancellor, Todd's Tavern, in this area here, you want to make sure that, okay, that's some good news. The most recent scan there shows that we're getting some of this diced up a little bit, so maybe some brief weakening with this cell. It still has a tornado warning associated with it, as well as a severe thunderstorm warning. And this is just down towards the south. And of course, we're kind of freezing up a little bit right there. I also want to focus on the severe thunderstorm warning. VJ, we've had our eyes on all these cells. I've got my eyes right now on the one over DC, which is producing some very heavy rainfall right now. Yeah,
hopefully we're going to see some of these watches being shaved back in the next 2 hours or so. But severe thunderstorm warning for DC, the bright orange that you're seeing there. And then the red down around Fredericksburg, that's where that tornado warning is and has been issued. It is the one, the only one that we have right now showing up in our viewing area. Again, that's just south of Stafford and north and west of Bowling Green, this latest tornado warning. And Scott, I know you've been looking at some information. You had a question for me?
Well, we were talking about this earlier, VJ, the variety of damage that can come from storms like this. What is the most prevalent? What's the most concerning that you're looking out for right now?
The most concerning would be some of the trees coming down throughout the area. Haven't seen any reports of lightning striking any homes, but just the falling trees with the intense winds. These winds could be around 60, 70, upwards 70 miles per hour with them. So this is the most intense cell. And note, it goes from Spotsylvania right up through areas of Fredericksburg and off to the west, so around I-95. So some very high winds taking place within this cell. If it holds together, that would be impacting more areas than just Spotsylvania, on toward Corbin potentially by 6:48 and Locks Corner by 6:51 and then Micah by 6:55. So south and east with this cell at about 35 miles per hour. But here are some of the winds that Mark was just examining as well. Some of the highest occurring right now would be just east of Spotsylvania around 95 and Route 1, especially these areas in bright blue where the most intense winds are within the cell. So you saw all the rain, but what you can't see, especially when it is raining so hard like that with the reduced visibility, that's our storm tracker that's out in some of these areas right now. And even some hail could be occurring. If you have any photos that you can safely take and send to us, please do just after the storm passes. Right now we're getting some indication that there could be some penny-sized hail just on the west side of I-95. You can see that's north of Spotsylvania right now. So some hail, some heavy rain, some intense lightning, all of it occurring within the cell around Spotsylvania, eventually crossing east just over Fredericksburg and around the Belleau area. We'll go a little wider here because you can see that even north of the tornado warning, we've got some very heavy rain with that cell, all advancing to the south and east, but this area has been hatched out for the tornado warning itself based on where some of the highest winds are occurring within the cell. And west of there, more heavy rain. That's south of Luray, west of Culpeper, and about ready to move into Madison County again. And then, of course, around the district itself, some of the heaviest rain will be moving through D.C., into areas of northern Prince George's County. High rainfall rates. We continue up to the north too till 6:45 and until 7:30 with severe thunderstorm warnings. But again, down around areas of Spotsylvania where we do have, again, the tornado warning that has been issued on that cell until 7 p.m. So there you're seeing it flashing, I-95, Route 1, all impacted. If you know anyone in this area, make sure that they are in their safe space. Mark, what are you seeing right now?
You know, just a continuation, that's a very, very small tornado warning, which we've been talking about all evening, has a history of producing some rotations, so take it seriously. Although I do expect it to likely expire soon because it's set to expire at 7, but the way that it's moving is likely going to be out of that warning here in the next 5 to maybe 10 minutes. I was just looking at some of our forecast models here. Where are these storms going from here? Well, if it's, let me get my bearings here just a second. There we go. This is one forecast model simulation and picking up decently where the storms are right now. So I want to keep that in mind as I advance this a little bit. If you are off towards the north and west, the farther north and west you are of the Capital Beltway, the more likely you're going to be done with the rainfall. This is one projection of what the radar could look like by around 9 o'clock. And so notice that the heaviest rain is moving out over the bay, and the farther north and west you are, I don't really see too much redevelopment in the next couple of hours. So we're getting the worst of it right now. And again, the farther north and west you are of the Capital Beltway, the more in the clear you are going to be. Now, can we rule out a stray shower or two until midnight? No, absolutely not. That will still be in the forecast, but it won't be severe. You'll likely just see a few raindrops, maybe a rumble of thunder or two until about midnight. Here's just another forecast simulation. I'm going to pull up another one just to see if we can kind of get some kind of agreement on where some of these storms will go. Another separate model here. Yeah, by 8, 9 o'clock, notice all the reds and oranges moving away. Again, can we rule out another stray shower or storm? Nope, but that's going to be non-severe at that point. And 9 o'clock at that point, I also expect the watches to have been expired or at least shaved off a little bit. We lose the daytime heating. We lose a lot of the instability and the fuel for these storms to continue. I'm going to pull up live radar again and show you where we have our tornado warning. And sure enough, yeah, it looks like it expired early, VJ. Am I seeing this correctly? Our active tornado warning that was for portions of Chancellor, Spotsylvania. I've got that product up, and I'm not seeing it in there anymore.
It just expired. It just expired
so,
right now. It's just a severe thunderstorm warning that is up for the city of Fredericksburg and, of course, up to the north. And should any new warnings be issued, of course, we will get them right to you, and we'll have more information. We'll be live streaming online as well on our social media platforms.
Quick question while I've got you here, VJ. You and Mark, the rest of the weather team, do a great job of letting everyone know when it's coming and why it's so important they prepare. Am I right that we're seeing so many more of these currently during all this summer weather, and that's why it's just so imperative that people be prepared ahead of time?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, our climate is able to hold more moisture. We're seeing more days with those high dew point temperatures, so much moisture in the atmosphere. That's some of the energy for these storms to really feed on with these intense cold fronts that we have been getting. And like today, it's the same weather maker that produced all that severe weather up in areas of Wisconsin all the way south down toward Kentucky. So that's what's been moving into our area. Mark, go ahead and zoom in, because it looks like right now DC is under a flash flood warning. If you can zoom in, there have been some incredible high rainfall rates occurring with these storms as they've started around 2:30, 3 o'clock today, north and west, and advancing off to the east. So what you're looking at here on the left is the legend for all of the storms that are happening throughout the area, all the warnings and the watches. Right now it's a flash flood warning. Go ahead and click that, Mark, so that we can see what the valid time is on it for DC. You've got the heaviest rain moving east and out of the area. So let's get a valid time on this flash flood warning, Mark.
Give me just a second.
Heavy rain for Bowie, heavy rain that'll be moving into Upper Marlboro. Some very high rainfall rates, but the tornado warning, Scott, has been allowed to expire.
Yeah, and that is some good news. We know if another situation pops up like this, we'll come right back to you. In the meantime, folks, stay with us on air on